Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is time for another episode of Noon with Nim. It's just a little hangout with me and those incredibly creative types that we have out there on the internet and elsewhere who are doing the yeoman's work of making this new. I don't even want to know what to call this age we're in, but it is the age of independent work, whether it's comics or music or movies. Everybody is out there and they have access to doing these incredible things. I have another one of those incredible creatives to share with you today. So I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to introduce him. His name is Peter Harte. He is over there from across the pond, as we like to call it, the Atlantic Ocean. I believe he is in Ireland, but we're going to get to all of that. And he has a comic called Balor. And I know I hope I pronounced that right, but I know that he has done several issues and he's got a new crowdfunding campaign coming out, and we're going to get into all that. But before we do that, I want to introduce him. So welcome to the show, Peter. How you doing, Peter?
How's it going, Nem? You came close there. Good thing you said Ireland. Too many people say British, and that would have been a bad start.
Did I pronounce it right? Is it Balor?
It's Balor.
Balor.
But
Okay.
yeah, don't worry. You're not the first. You definitely will not be the last to pronounce it that way.
You have to forgive me. I'm American, so and Californian to boot. So sometimes people in our own country can't even understand me because I talk so fast. So awesome. So all right, let's just get it right out of the way. Balor, what is Balor about? And so what if we could sum it up without giving everything away? Because I know as a creator, I tend to nim things, as certain people have called it now. They've coined the phrase, and give the plot away because I'm just so excited to let people know. So I don't want you to do that, but can you let people know what Balor is all about?
Yeah, this is same with yourself. I always struggle with this when it comes to breaking it down. Uh, Basically, Balor is a superhero modern mythology book. So they're superpowers, but they're based off mythological characters. So the way I like to explain it is the powers of mythology are like energy. They never die, they just move to a new vessel.
Okay.
So you have these. So Balor in Irish mythology was a demon king, and obviously he'd be considered an Omega level mythological power.
Mm-hmm.
So his powers get passed on to our main character Sean, who had was still grieving over the murder of his brother, and then he gets these new powers. And what do you do with new powers if you're grieving the murder of a loved one? You look for revenge. And it's the during the quest for revenge, he uncovers that he's not the only person with powers, and there's also this shady organization that seems to be floating around mythological stuff. I won't throw too much of that in there, but I always say think of the best parts of that X-Men show, The Gifted.
Awesome. So with Balor, is it sticking to Irish mythology right now, and are you introducing other Irish mythological characters? I know a little bit, but I will freely admit that most of what I know is from playing D&D, and it used to have an Irish section, like uh, I don't know that it was Irish in particular, but they like it was Irish Celtic and some of the stuff which kind of crosses over, and so it was in the books there. So
Yeah, we have plans to bring a lot more Irish mythology. My whole reasoning behind creating this book was I didn't think there was enough positive exposure of Irish characters in comic books. So brought this forward, but we're kind of putting the other Irish mythologies in drips and drabs. We've a character that's both myself and Amy, my artist's favorite, Kelpie, which is Celtic mythology.
mhm.
Um, so it's kind of Irish and Scottish. But because Ireland in modern age is such a diverse country, we are bringing in mythologies from other countries too.
Oh, that's
Like we
great.
have Akalika, who is making her first full debut in issue three. She's been teased in issue one and two. Um, that is actually from Bolivian mythology.
Really? Wow,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Any thought to um, like Indian mythology eventually or anything like that? Well, it's not considered mythology because there's currently people that practice the Hindu religion, but bringing in Hindu gods or anything like that, or is that something you want to stay away from? So
No, me and Amy both said when we went the mythology route that nothing's really off the table. We've had our little powwows about Greek gods. We had a great fun on a phone call one night talking about our plan if we decide to bring Hades into it,
mhm.
not the owner of ASAP, the god of the underworld.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, no, we've like issue volume one, I say, is going to be the origins, whereas volume two, when we get into that, is going to be more about building up the rogues gallery and bringing in these mythologies from not just Ireland, but from other cultures as well. And nothing is off the table.
that's so cool. It's almost like you're doing the Richard Riordan thing, who did Percy Jackson and other stuff, but you're doing it in comic book form with comic book. Now, is the person who got Balor's powers? Is he? Would you consider him a superhero or is he an anti-hero? So
To put it bluntly, I consider him an idiot. Um,
okay,
yeah,
sure.
he is. He wants to do good. Obviously, the main use of his power is he's looking to avenge his brother's death, but he's young, naive, I'd say kind of border between anti-hero and hero, but not intentional anti-hero. The anti-hero side is just he's not the brightest bulb in the box.
Okay. Now, one of the questions I have to ask you. So he's channeling this power of Balor, and if you can't give this away because it gives story elements away, please don't answer. But is there the power of Balor that he's channeling, and then an entity as well? So there's like something behind all of that.
Yeah, so with the power of Balor, so in issue one, it's not really a giveaway, it's in the first couple of pages. He stumbles across the shrine of Balor, which is where he's given the powers by the fairies who were protecting it. So the
Hmm.
fairies basically, because Balor was such an Omega evil level power, didn't want his power to just get passed on to anybody. So they wanted someone who fit the criteria of someone worthy. But Balor's soul, as we see in the first few pages, is still very much
Mm,
present. Whether that will play a bigger part down the line, I can't say. But
sure.
we we do have a plan for the Demon King.
Cool. Very cool. So you are the writer and co-creator of Balor. Um, who is your other creator, or are your other co-creators on the series?
So Amy Muir, she's my artist and co-creator. So she's from Scotland, so a nice mixture of accents whenever anyone can catch us on a show together.
And how did you meet Amy to work with her?
We were actually mutuals on Twitter. I used to run a podcast called the Superior Comic Show,
Uh-huh.
and Amy followed it way back about 8, 9 years ago when I was kind of heavy into doing it.
Hmm.
And she used to post a lot of her art. She used to do a lot of pin-up art, and I really liked it. And when I decided I was going to go to write a comic, I reached out to her and gave her an anxiety attack because the first thing she said was, "I've never done sequential art." To which I responded, "I've never wrote a comic."
It looks fantastic. I mean, did she draw what's behind you there? So
She did. So this is actually our variant cover for issue three. So in issue three, Balor is going to be wearing his costume for the first time. So me being a huge Spider-Man fan, one of my favorite comic covers of all time is the Secret Wars cover where he reveals the black suit.
hmm.
So we've done a kind of an homage to that cover for the variant of issue three.
And this is one of the covers. Is this for issue 3 as well? So
That's the main cover for issue three. So that'd be the front, and there is a wraparound that I haven't really posted elsewhere, but it's Akalika's hand, which will wrap around the back as well.
cool. And then you sent me this as well. I mean, the artwork is fantastic. So I love this. Now, is the
Yeah.
whole issue, is it black and white? Is that what you're doing?
No, no, so it will be colored.
Okay.
But me and Amy, we on issue one, Amy done the art and the coloring, and I done the writing and the lettering, and we found that that was a lot of work to take on for two people. Um, so
Right.
what we're doing is me and Amy know we have a understanding that when the Kickstarter gets funded, Amy knows she gets paid her fee for the book.
Hmm.
I take my bit, but I can't expect someone who doesn't have the relationship me and Amy have to come on board with that premise there. People want to get paid for their work. I understand that, especially in this
Right.
line of work. So I'd rather have the Kickstarter know that it's about to be funded before I bring in the colorist and the letterer. But I have a colorist and a letterer ready to go.
Understand that definitely, but I do have to say, there's something to be said for, I know that some people now are offering variant issues that are just line art and inks, and this looks amazing. I really like it like this. So, and it looked good in color too, but I do have to say this looks cool.
Yeah, Amy's really, she's as I've never ever had an issue with her artwork, but even myself reading through issue 1, 2, and now looking at this, it's great to see her development as the issues are going on.
Very cool. And then we also have this. This looks like some character study, or it was some line work and then inking done on. This is Balor, right?
Yeah, so that was Amy was playing around with the mask. We had a lot of time discussing what way the mask should look. So that's one of the earlier kind of finalized designs for the Balor mask.
Well, speaking as a GI Joe fan, I think you got a nice little mix of like snake eyes and something else going on there. So I kind of dig it. It's cool.
Amy didn't want to do, and I wanted to keep the hoodie because I'm a big Ben Riley fan as well. So I love the hoodie and his costume.
Mhm.
Whereas Amy did not want to hide his, as she calls them, majestic curls. So she wanted to keep the hair out there.
I dig it. Now, the dragons in the background, I'm assuming those are dragons and not like demons or chimeras or something. Is that something that he is fighting? Is he in hell? I mean, can you give us a little more on this picture or this from the
So
cover?
with that, I'd have to ask Amy's jumping on that. My whole thing with Amy, when I said I wanted the Secret Wars homage cover for the variant, she asked me what I wanted in the background. I said, have Akalika, have Kelpie, who are in the background as well. They're just further lower down. I
Hmm.
was like, and then just throw some random mythical creatures in the back because for a fact with me, I'm gonna bring them in at some stage.
Yeah, that's
But
cool.
yeah, everything you see in the background there is stuff me and Amy have talked about going forward with Balor.
That's very cool. Now, um, let's talk about what you're doing with your crowdfunding right now. So, issues 1 and 2 have already come out, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. So right now you're going to be crowdfunding for issue 3.
yeah.
Oh, and let me tell everybody real quick. I'm going to leave this up for the rest of the show. These links are always super long, so make sure you just kind of like pause the video or something and get it down, or go to Kickstarter and make sure you search for Balor, and I'm sure you can find it. But yeah, go and back that campaign. First, sign up as a follower because that's important, for the pre-launch, and then make sure when this thing goes to go live, we back this thing. All right. This is what this is all about, to support these great indie creators. Make sure you're backing it so that we can get this man funded and he doesn't have to sweat it out. So we want that to happen. So I'm sorry to disrupt you. So, what do you have plannings for this crowdfunding campaign? When does it go live?
It goes live at the end of this month. So quite a hefty pre-launch. I've learned kind of from past mistakes of having the pre-launch too short, where I didn't have time to promote.
Mhm.
Um, so we're planning on launching at the end of the month. And at the moment, actually speaking of following it, me and Amy have both agreed. She's not happy with me about this, but she's agreed to it. If we hit 100 followers, we will go on live stream and get the Eye of Balor tattooed on ourselves.
Nice. You heard it right here, folks. Let's get to 100 followers and see them get inked. We got to see that. So, very cool. And I completely understand. I am about to jump back into crowdfunding myself. My first effort failed rather spectacularly, So, and yeah, one of the things I did was I was initially funding to fund the comic, and found out that people like to see it finished. So I paid for the first comic first and got it completely done, and we're finishing that up right now. So you live and you learn. You live and you
You
learn.
do, it's true. It's me and Amy were the same. We started crowdfunding for the first comic when we only had the cover done.
Yeah,
Um, Second comic we had the cover and 2 pages done. This comic we've learned we have a few pages, we have the cover, we have the variant. We've learned, as you said, people want to see some internal work as well as some covers before they decide to back.
definitely. So I have to ask. So you're the writer on it,
Yeah.
and you're writing all this. Have you written other stuff? and you said this is your first foray into writing comics. How do you find it? Are you enjoying this format? Do you want to do other things besides comics? Let us know us give us a little information about that process for you.
Yeah, so I'm loving writing comics. I've grown up, I loved reading comics, and in school, creative writing was always my best subject. It was where I excelled. But until my late 20s, I never realized I could put both of these passions together and actually write my own comics.
Hmm.
The answer was right in front of me, and I just never realized it until a friend of mine on Twitter, Task, he wrote an indie comic, Leaders of the Free World. And I kind of reached out to him and I was like, hang on, this is a thing. People can just write their own comics now. You don't need to get signed by Marvel or DC to actually
Right.
release a comic. So he helped me out a lot at the start, and then I just hopped into writing, and by the time I got Amy on board, I had 75% of the script for issue one done.
Very
And
cool.
now we're on issue three, and Amy has to keep telling me to slow down because I have basically the spine done up to about issue 50 odd. So I get very ahead of myself. I
You're
hyperfixate on this stuff.
You're ready to go. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I understand that as well. Um, so tell me then, where does your love of mythology come from?
It's being from, I've always loved Greek gods. Hercules, the Disney animated movie, I still say is one of the most underrated movies of all time. Um, Always been a big fan of that stuff. And at a young age, I studied more into Irish mythology because being Irish, I wanted to know if I had any cool stuff like Hercules and things like that.
Hmm.
And once I delved into Irish mythology, it's so vast and there's so many different characters, and it's I fell in love immediately. And even to this day, I find out about new myths that I never knew about.
That's amazing. That's really, really cool. All right. So I have to ask then, for all of us who are not super familiar with Irish mythology, give us one really cool story that you think that we should check out. We should go as soon as we get off this broadcast. You should go check it out and give it a read if you could find it. So
Ooh, that's an interesting one. Now, I'm hoping all my one of the reasons why I got into writing a comic about an Irish character is I was frustrated with everyone thinking Ireland was just leprechauns and alcohol and Conor McGregor.
yeah.
But there's the story of Cú Chulainn, would be the most famous Irish myth, and it's actually Marvel have a comic about Cú Chulainn from a few years back.
Hmm.
So he'd be the one to go look into. I don't want to spoil too much. He's a, a myth I love talking about, so if I get started, I won't stop.
Okay.
And he's he's actually already been represented in Balor as well. Shameless plug.
And there's I know, I mean, I write comics for Hades with ASAP Imagination. I know there's some Irish stuff, Irish myth in there, so I know a little bit about that. Is the Wild Hunt, is that Irish?
Well, it may be. I think the Wild Hunt is Irish now. I'd have to re-familiarize myself with it.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, no, I know Hades has been talking a lot. We've been talking about doing an art share between Amy and himself on his book with Bridget in it. The Saint Bridget is big thing in Ireland. We have Saint Bridget's Day in school where we make the crosses and stuff like that.
All right. Hades, let it be known that he said Bridget, not me. So I didn't name it this time. So cool. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. In fact, there's some stuff I've written behind the scenes for Hades that has that in it. So that would be really cool to see you work on that. Um, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a quick break right here. We're going to run a short commercial for Cinema Crusaders. And then on the other side of it, we are going to get back and we're going to keep talking to Peter Harte of Baylor. Oops, excuse me, Balor. So
Here we
my
go.
and watch a commercial and we'll be right back. And welcome back, everybody, to the show. As I said on the other side of the commercial, we are here with Peter Harte of Balor. And we had a fascinating conversation. Make sure if you're just tuning in now, go check out the first part of the show where we talk about the crowdfunding campaign, the book that's coming out, Irish mythology. There's all sorts of cool stuff in there. Also, make sure you click or look in the show notes. We've got the link to the campaign so you could follow it and eventually back it. Remember, we want you to back it. And we have notes for merch and stuff like that. And finally, before I get back to Peter, make sure that you like and subscribe to our videos here on Comic Crusaders. Make sure you come tune in to shows such as Cinema Crusaders, which I also host, but we've got Old Timers Comic Book Show, all sorts of shows for all sorts of different people. And the links to my work is also down in the show notes below. So enough with that. Let's get back to the focus here to Peter. So, so we were talking a little bit about your love of mythology, and you started with Greek, and then you looked into Irish mythology. Now, I think most people get started with either Greek mythology or Norse mythology, is one or the other. You know, that's kind of like your intro. And I'm like you. I loved mythology as a kid, and was reading it from then, and then got assigned Bullfinch's mythology in school eventually, and just read all sorts of different stuff. My cat is yelling. I hope it's not showing up on the thing. But if you could pick another mythology, either that you know about, that would be your third favorite, or another mythology you would love to learn more about, what do you think it would be?
Well, that's good. That's a good question. I've always kind of touched upon, especially with doing research for Balor, a lot of Asian mythology, Japanese in particular. I'd love to delve more into that. If you were to ask my wife as well, she'd roll her eyes as soon as she heard me saying Japanese, because Japan is my dream holiday, and I'm constantly bringing it up.
My brother from another mother, I'm the same way. I really want to go to Japan, and I would love to learn more about. I know a little bit about Japanese mythology, but yeah, I think it's pretty fascinating. And like you, I'm part Native American, and I would love to do something with Native American mythology sometime myself. So, but it's so varied. It depends on what tribe you're from and everything too. It really varies across the whole of North America and South America, because you're doing, was it Bolivian mythology you said? So,
Bolivian mythology, yeah.
Yeah.
I could definitely see what you're saying there. Like, even with the likes of like Irish, Scottish mythology would all fall into Celtic mythology. We have a character Kelpie who actually has a different story depending on whether you ask someone from Scotland or someone from Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
So it does, it's similar to what you're saying with it varies by tribe. It varies here by which Celtic country you're in.
Now, one of the things, it's interesting you said Japanese mythology. One of the things I loved is that, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I'm a horror writer and I love horror stories. And one of the things I loved is Mike Mignola, when he would write Hellboy, went and got monsters from all over the world. And he did some stuff with Japanese monsters, which were fantastic. But are you into monsters as well, like the horror aspect? Because there's some great stuff out there.
Oh, 100%. I'd consider that all to be part of mythology as well. Like me and Amy have talked about vampires, we talked about werewolves, we talked about mermaids and sirens. I'm a huge fan of Supernatural, so like I take a lot of inspiration from that show as well, with when they used to do their Monster of the Week format.
Yeah, I love it. And, if you ever get the chance, I know that you've got written up to level 50, but I'd love to see Balor fight a Penanguin. I don't know if you know what a Penanguin is, but it's
make sure you send me that in a message on Twitter when we're done here.
It's from Southeast Asia. It's their form of vampire. It's pretty gruesome, but it's cool. So yeah, good stuff. So okay, let's take a step back for a minute. So you're living in Ireland. Don't tell us exactly where you live, but what part of Ireland are you from in general? Are you from further north, or are you more urban and down?
I'm more urban, so I'm Dublin, so the capital of Ireland. Okay. So unfortunately for anyone who's listening and is expecting dirtle situation, it's not me. I'm not a top of the morning to you.
Well, just say Dublin. No one's going to be able to find you. Just Dublin. Like,
Just Dublin.
Yeah,
Hold on, I'll pop in my postcode and comments.
cool. So, what is I gotta ask this question. I know a few people over in Ireland. What is the comic scene like over there? What is it like? Are there for convention wise and was it like with the stores and everything? I think that's things that people really like to hear about. Something I didn't know a lot about until I met Hades and how the whole comic scene is different around the world. So what is it like there in Dublin?
To use kind of a word, underutilized, if I'm being honest. Like we have our, it's almost like the comic scene, if you will. So we have our two main comic stores, which is Big Bang Comics and Forbidden Planet.
Mm.
And then we have the smaller indie stores, which I prefer going to. We have like Sub City, Little Deer Comics, Dublin City Comics. So there's a few kind of scattered shops around the place. Convention wise, we have um, Dublin City, Dublin Comic Con is the big one. They just done their spring edition there last weekend. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it off work, so I wasn't there. But convention, there is a lot of smaller conventions that I've only started finding out about now that I'm a creator that I'd never heard of before.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping to get to a few of them. It's building. It is. It's building back up now that comics and comic book movies are cool again.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, it's weird how it's different depending on where you are, even in big cities. I live outside of LA, but it's considered metro LA. And unlike the East Coast or even where you are in Ireland or in the UK as well, we don't really have chain stores. It's all independent for the most part. So those don't exist out here for the most part. So it's
Would
different.
you, sorry to ask you a question on your show. Would you find that's like a positive thing? Because I know it's positive for like independent creators to making their money and not to be in big chains. But I know I've heard a lot of stories about some comic stores over in the US struggling
Yeah,
as well.
that is the problem. There are a few people around who own more than one. So I guess you could call that a chain. Like there are a few people that own like three or four stores and stuff like that. But my local comic book store that I've been going to for 15 years closed a couple months ago.
Oh,
So it is struggling over here. It's one of those things that's hard to do. And then as an independent creator, you want to get out there, but because it's not a chain, that means you have to drive and negotiate with every single store owner. So and I don't know if you're familiar with LA, but for me to get from one side of Metro LA to the other, just driving is like 4 hours. So or more.
that's the funny thing. I could get from Dublin to like the furthest south point tip of Ireland in that time.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, and that's not all of Southern California. If I wanted to do San Diego and everything like that. So it's a lot of driving and everything like. So that's the downside, but
Yeah.
it is cool to be able to go and there's a lot of history and stuff there. It's just uh, you know, I think it's going to be up to us as independent creators to revitalize the industry, and give new ideas. And then I'm sure that Marvel and DC and Dark Horse and Image are going to pump up their game again with the new blood and new ideas that are coming up. So yeah. So that's a question for you. Is that a dream of yours? I mean, is it a dream to stick with Balor the way it is, or if someone comes along one day and offers you, hey, we'd love you to come write Ghost Rider for Marvel, what do you do?
Yeah. So that's when starting off, not gonna lie, starting off the dream was always to write for Marvel and in specific to write Spider-Man. That was always the big dream of mine, me and every other comic creator out there. Um, then a lot, not to, I don't want to bash any big companies, they do things the way they do things, but a lot of stuff came out about how the creators are paid when it comes to their designs being used in the billion-dollar movies.
Yeah,
That turned me off the big two a lot. Um, so in terms of Balor, I think Balor in terms of the umbrella it's under with ASAP Anyone World, I think it's perfect for Balor. You know yourself with ASAP. the IP is still myself and Amy's, which is
Mhm.
was very important to me. And Balor can grow, and hopefully I can help other creators around me grow. If Marvel came and asked me to do a Spider-Man book or a Ben Riley book, 100% I'd be in to write that. But if they
Yeah.
came and asked me could they take Balor, they'd need to make my eyes water with what they'd offer me before I let that lovable little idiot go.
They'd have to break out that proverbial fat cash, huh? So
Exactly. That I'd need to see that box office money before I let him go.
fair, fair. And yeah, that's cool. I'm with you. If I had my choice, what am I doing? There was a weird accent I had there for a second. If I had my choice and DC came and offered me a chance to write Hellblazer or John Constantine title, I'd be like, yeah, I'll do it. So yeah, I'll take the money. So uh, okay, cool. So we've already seen that you are a Spider-Man fan. Anything else that you really like in Marvel outside of Spider-Man? So
So Spider-Man for me, I got to not to elongate an answer like I'm doing an English essay. Um, Spider-Man for me was my favorite. I got introduced to him at the age of 6. My grandmother brought me Ultimate Spider-Man #1, and it was through that that I
oh,
learned about other characters.
the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, or
Uh, no, so
or
the Ultimate Spider-Man comic. So
oh,
the
Ultimate Spider-Man. Okay,
yeah, the Peter David
yep, yep.
issues. So also was what affected me. The first time reading something ever emotionally affected me when we got to the death of Peter Parker.
Uh-huh.
But it was through that I started picking up on other characters as they featured.
All right,
Um,
you
was
and I
never
are.
a fan of I love Miles Morales. I know it's another Spider character, but I love Miles. Uh, love Ben Riley. Love the X-Men. Big fan of the X-Men. Nightcrawler in
Did you like
particular.
Ultimate X-Men?
Eh, but the less said about that, the better. I to this day,
That's great.
everything had its moments, but to me, the only Ultimate title that actually was worth that's still worth a damn was Ultimate Spider-Man. I think the
Interesting.
rest they kind of they rocked the boat a bit too much with the rest of it.
I like the Ultimates, but I can see what you're saying. So yeah,
Yeah, there's the whole Wanda and Pietro story as well that just didn't
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It was a little creepy, wasn't it? So,
Yeah, if anyone's thinking about going and reading it, don't just watch Game of Thrones. It's the same sort of concept. Uh,
cool. Ultimate Spider-Man. And you said you got into Ultimate Spider-Man when you were 6. So is that your entry?
yeah,
To- Yeah, you're
that
making me
was.
feel really old right now. So thank you for that. So yeah, my entry to comics was all the way back in the 1970s. So it was Superman. So yeah, I'm getting up there ancient now, and my body tells me. Cool. So Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man. So did you go back after that and start reading some of the stuff that had come before? So
As I got older, so I religiously got Ultimate Spider-Man until the conclusion when it all finished up. Um, but kind of as I got older, I started reading back issues and reading these kind of must-read
mhm.
graphic novels like you had your House of M, you had Civil War, World War Hulk. So I started delving into other characters and backstories and kind of
Yeah.
reading back. Like one of my favorites is actually, and it's not even a Marvel story, it's a DC. Under the Red Hood is one of my favorite reads. I find Jason Todd, and people hate me for this. Jason Todd was the best Robin, and it was the best character to come out of the Bat family. I don't care. Uh,
Peter Harte coming out shooting bullets, man. I know a lot of people who are lining up to take you on after you said that. In fact, one of my friends, he swears that Tim Drake is the best Robin of
see,
all time. So
see, Tim Drake is just so mainstream. That's what I find. Tim Drake's the easy answer. He's the mainstream answer. No, I
I,
kid. Like I love them all, but I don't know. I think it was the flawed hero style of Jason Todd that really spoke to me.
I feel I have a little soft spot for the murderous little bastard that Damian Wayne is. So
Sure, you know what? Fair.
cool. So let's go back to Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, I have to agree with you. When they killed off Peter, spoilers, everybody. It's only been out for a decade or more. I don't know how long when it first came out, but
I think issue one came out in 2000, so 24 years ago.
yeah. So if you haven't read it, spoilers, but tough. Yeah, when they killed off Peter and brought in Miles, I will be honest with you, it took me 10 years to forgive the Miles Morales character. So I was like, I don't care. I don't care. You killed off Peter Parker. Screw all of you. I hate life.
Yeah, oh, I like physically cried when they killed off Peter Parker. It's the first time a book ever made me cry. I actually have it's in storage. I have the first appearance of Miles Morales sealed in great condition, and because I knew even at that age this could be a collector's item one day.
mhm.
But to this day, looking back at it, yeah, same as yourself. It took me so long to forgive them for killing off Peter, but also looking back now and going, how ballsy of a move was that to do, to kill off possibly the most popular comic book character of all time alongside Batman.
Not only that, they killed off Wolverine. They killed off Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is one of my favorite X-Men ever. I
Oh,
was just
awesome. Yeah, that's why I like the Ultimate Line. I like when they do kind of these alt universe things where they can play around and take these risks without pissing off the, sorry, excuse my language. I don't know this is if this show is rated E for everyone or not.
no.
Without
You say whatever you want to say. So
oh,
go on.
brilliant. So they could do whatever they want without pissing off the main continuity
Yeah.
followers. So I thought the Ultimate Universe was great for that.
I get a ton of crap from other people who are Marvel. Now, I'm more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy, but one of the things I loved about Ultimate was I have been collecting DC comics forever, but I was spotty with Ultimate or with Marvel comics. And so when they started over, I was like, I could follow this from one and get all of it. And I wish I had met you before. I had the whole Ultimate run of everything. And I was cleaning up space and raising funds, so I gave it away for next to nothing a little while ago. So
Breaking my heart, man. Breaking my heart.
I know. I kept a few things, like I kept the Ultimates because I really like the Ultimates, and I kept some Ultimate Spider-Man stuff that I have. But yeah, I agree with you. I thought Ultimate Spider-Man was really cool. I like what they did with it, and it felt like the old Spider-Man that I grew up with watching back in the 70s. We used to watch this old 1960s cartoon that was, by today's standards, terrible, but it had that same feel to it, so it was cool. And it's cool to hear that you like that. So all right, looking at the time, we have a little bit of time left. Are you up for playing a little game before we go? So
Always.
awesome. So I like to do this. It's I call it this or that. It's just a short, I give you two options. If you don't like either one of those options, you can say, Nim, screw you. I'm giving you a third option. But it's just one of these little things, little brain teaser type thing. Not even a brain teaser. It's just, choose which one you like more. So I already know the answer to this one, but I'm gonna throw it out there. Marvel or DC? So
Marvel.
all right, cool. I probably know the answer to this one, but we'll see. You might surprise me. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay. Are you a night owl or a day person?
I have kids that want to sleep all the time, but night owl.
Okay, very cool. Let's see here. Breakfast or dinner?
Dinner.
Dinner. Okay. Let's go a little bit different. Now, I don't know what you have available to you over there, but let's go spicy here. Italian food or Mexican food?
Mexican food.
Oh, all right. If you're ever in Southern California, you are formally invited over for dinner. So,
I'll take you up on that. I'll get over there eventually. I'll take you up on that offer.
Very cool. Let's see. Here's one for you. I don't even know if you like sports, but and I've never watched this first one, but football, Gaelic football or football, soccer. So
I'm Irish, so I have to say Gaelic football. I watch more football, but like Gaelic football, I've been to matches. I've been to Croke Park. I've been to the All Ireland final, and it's you can't get it anywhere else.
Awesome. Cool, because I'm a fan of football, and I'm a fan of our many clubs, but our local club that I'm a fan of is LA Galaxy, and our captain and one of our talisman players for a long time was Robbie Keane. So
Robbie Keane, legend, absolute legend.
yeah, he is. And I got to meet him a couple times. Just class, pure class.
Oh, I've met him. He used to where I work at the shopping center. He walks through every now and then, and we'd stop him and have chats.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, he's still a legend here in LA. I mean, people, he's famous here. People absolutely love him. In fact, we want him to come back and coach the team sometime. So, all right, couple more. Summer or winter?
Winter.
Cool. And I'm trying to think of a good one for you. All right, here we go. Guinness or Jameson?
I don't drink either, but I'll say Guinness because whiskey. Me and whiskey don't mix.
Okay, fair. I had to ask. I don't know why, but you know, it seemed like the thing to do. So
actually, listen, we all drink over here, so yeah, it's it.
I mean, that's like saying all of us Mexicans drink tequila. I mean, I know of tequila, but I don't drink myself.
I would drink tequila more than I'd drink whiskey. But for me, I'm more of a Captain Jack Sparrow, more of a rum type of guy.
Nice. Yeah, I like rum. When I used to drink, I was a rum drinker, so it's like I'll drink tequila, but it's kind of like So I have had Jameson before. I enjoy it, but I think I would prefer Guinness as well. I like it more than whiskey myself. So cool. All right. So before we get out of here, why don't you tell everybody real quick again about the comic and when everything is going live, and then we will blow this popsicle stand. So
yeah. So Balor issue 3 is on pre-launch now on Kickstarter. You can follow it using the link that them so kindly provided. It's the big issue for me. Is the best one we've written yet. We're going to see Balor debut in his costume for the first time, full debut of Akalika, and we're going to, for the first time in the series, you're going to see two mythicals come head to head.
Very cool. Yeah, make sure that you get there. Make sure that you check it out. Like we said, the link is right down there, but if you can't find a pen or a pencil to write it down, just go to Kickstarter and search for Balor and you will find it. I did that today, and the link comes right up on the search, and you just go on right there, follow, and then make sure once you follow, that means that you need to back the project when it goes live. So make sure we do that and get Balor number 3 over the line so we can see the fine work from Peter and Amy. Amy, right? Didn't forget
Amy,
the name. Yep. Awesome. I'm on fire today. All right, Peter and Amy, and we will get issue 3 so that we can get issue 4, and then eventually we can get to issue 50 and beyond, because it's going to happen. So make sure you do that. And on behalf of myself and my wonderful guest, Peter, you're always welcome to come back and talk just about comics if you want to talk about comics or promote your stuff. Great guest. Thank you so much for being on.
No problem at all. I wouldn't offer that. You'll never get rid of me. Gurav Mahagut, which is Irish for thank you very much for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
You are most welcome. So once again, we're going to get out of here. And thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Please click the like and subscribe. Look for everything down in the notes. And on behalf of myself and my guest and the Comic Crusaders YouTube channel, we are out of here. Bye, everybody.